This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Baruchim Abam. We're continuing Mishna Berura Daf Hashavua. We're beginning a new Miktsaya today. Hilchos Birchas Hatorah. Hilchos Birchas Hatorah. We know the Gemara in Birchas says, how do we know what's the makar for Birchas Hatorah? Ki Shem Hashem Ekra Havu Goidel Leilokeinu. The Marsha explains, Ki Shem Hashem Ekra. When I say the name of Hashem, we know the Torah, we have a tradition, the Torah is Kulai Shemoisav Shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When we say the name of Hashem, Havu Goidel Leilokeinu, you have to ascribe greatness to Hashem. It's generally understood that Birchas HaTorah is D'oraisa. Let's see how the Mishna Berura says it. Siman Mem Zayin Dinei Birchas HaTorah. Birchas HaTorah Tzarech Li Zahar Ba Ma'od. Birchas HaTorah, one has to be very careful about it. I have a good story for you, but we'll see it soon. Birchas HaTorah says the Mishna Berura. Ayin b'shagis Aryeh Siman Chav Daled Demasik shebirchas HaTorah min HaTorah. Look in the 24th chapter of the Shagis Aryeh. There he concludes Birchas HaTorah is biblical. V'lachein im nestapek lo im berach Birchas HaTorah choizim mavarich. You're not sure. Did I make Birchas HaTorah yet? I don't know if I made it. You make it again. Now, umikamakam kivan shu safek. Nevertheless, since it's a doubt, lo yevarech ela birchas asher bachar banu. You should only make the bracha of asher bachar banu. Shehu hamaula shebrachos. That is the choicest of all the blessings. Kedisa begemara. Now it's interesting. The Aruch HaShulchan says that if it's a day that there's Kriyas HaTorah, try to get an aliyah, and this way you'll be yotzi that way. You know, once you're doing that, so you say, well, what do you mean get an aliyah? So just have in mind an Ahavarabba. You know, why would he say get an aliyah? Have in mind an Ahavarabba. Let's see a little bit further in the Mishna Berura. V'ayin b'shari tshuva shehevi b'shem k'tzas achroinim d'soivrin d'misafik lo yachzer v'yivarech. Look in the Shari Tshuva, he brings in the name of some achroinim who hold that, out of doubt, you don't go back and make the bracha again. Uve'emes kashmai lisnech aleim. It's very hard to rely on those opinions. Acharei da harbe rishonim. There are many rishonim. Halohema haramban. By the way, the Rav Moshe asked a very geshmaka kasha. Why is it that by Birchas Hamazon, if you're Masupik, if you made Birchas Hamazon, not only do you make the first three brachas, which are D'oraisa, you even make Hatorah Meitiv, which is D'Rabbanan, so why don't we say the same thing by Birchas HaTorah? If you're Masupik, if you make Birchas HaTorah, not only should you say Asher Bachar Banu, you should say La Asoik as well. So Rav Moshe says in Igros Moshe Archaim Chelek Besim and Gimel, that Legabe Birchas HaTorah, we're not worried for zilzul if you only make one bracha, because there are two separate brachas. One is a birchas hashavach, and the other is a birchas hamitzvah. So we're not worried about zilzul. However, by birchas hamazon, where hatorah meitiv is similar to the first three brachas, if you're not going to make that bracha, we're choshesh for zilzul, Rav Moshe says. I would have answered that once there's a takana to make Birchas Hamazon, that bracha is part of Birchas Hamazon. Hatoy v'hameitiv was niskan as part of Birchas Hamazon. Ma'ashein kein la'asoik was not niskan. It's a separate bracha. It's a little bit of a different nekuda. One is a Birchas HaShvach, one is a Birchas HaMitzvah. So I will make the bracha that I'm mechuyev to make. Once I'm making one, I should make the other. Why? One doesn't have anything to do with the other. Ma'ashen kein hatoy v'hameitiv was niskan as part of Birchas Hamazon. That's what I would have answered. Anyway, says the Mishna Berura, be'emes kasha ma'od lismech aleim acharei da harbe rishonim halohema haramban. The Ramban says in the Sefer HaMitzvahs that just like we're mechuyev to make Birchas Hamazon, we're mechuyev to thank Hashem for the Torah. V'hachinuch, v'harajba, perak shlosh sha'achlu soivrim, the Birchas HaTorah min HaTorah. V'yadua sha'oinesh mi she'enu mevarech al HaTorah, gadol ma'od. And we know that the punishment of someone who doesn't make Birchas Hatorah is very great. By the way, I was once, recently, we had a shiur on during the 3 weeks. What's the Mishna Berura saying here? And by the way, we know the punishment is very great. What's that got to do with the price of tea in China, whether Birchas Hatorah is d'oraisa or d'rabanan? We have a shaila now. If you're masupik, if you made Birchas Hatorah, should you make it again, should you not make it again? So the Mishna Berura brought down achronim that say, no, misafik, don't make it again. But he says, it's very hard to rely on those shitas, because many Rishonim hold it's d'oraisa. V'yadua, that the punishment of Birchas Hatorah, if not making Birchas Hatorah, is very great. Yeah? So what? What's that got to do with the subject at hand? I believe that the Mishna Berura is invoking a line in the Shagas Aryeh. Shagas Aryeh brings a raya, Birchas Hatorah is d'oraisa. The proof is, it's not shayach, Hashem would destroy the Beis HaMikdash for an Avera d'Rabanan. So the Mishna Berura is bringing as ammunition to the side that Birchas Hatorah is d'oraisa, that it's got to be d'oraisa, because why would the punishment be so great? Ach, im nizkar zeh la'achar atfila, if you remembered after davening, shekvar birach birchas ahava rabba, then efshir diyesh lahakal b'zeh. You could be mekel. Afilu loy lamad take off la'achar tefillah. Even if you didn't learn immediately after davening, as we're going to see, if you want to be yotzei birchas haTorah with ahava rabba, you'd have to learn right after davening. Now it's so interesting that we saw the Aruch HaShulchan says that if there's a day there's Kriyas HaTorah, try to get an aliyah. Why don't you have a simple eitzah that if you're not sure if you said Birchas HaTorah, just rely on Avarab l'chadchila? That's what he says now. V'im yachal levakesh me'acher. If you could ask from someone else, sheyotzien beBirchas HaTorah, oy sheyechavin l'chadchila beBirchas Avarab lifta, or have kavanah l'chadchila to be yotzei with Avarab, but then v'loma take of la'achar tefillah, ma toiv, that's better. What if you want someone else? So you say, no, I don't want to rely on Avarabba. You know why? Because we just learned a few days ago, you're not supposed to say psukim, even derech tachnunim, before Birchas HaTorah. So if I'm going to rely on Avarabba, I'm violating that chumrah. So I have a great idea. I'll go to an earlier minyan and have someone else who's saying Avarabba be moitzi me in Birchas HaTorah. Reb Chaim Kanievsky says you can't be yotzei Birchas HaTorah with someone else's Avarabba. Eino yotzei. You cannot be yotzei. I don't know why. Why not? Lama lai. You explain to him, look, I want you to be moitzi me in Birchas HaTorah.
Maybe because he's not doing it for Birchas HaTorah.
Ah, very good. Meaning because he already said Birchas HaTorah. So he can't be moitzi me in something he's not chayiv in. He's not chayiv in Birchas HaTorah. What do you mean? So what? I'm chayiv, arvos.
But he's not saying the bracha with that kavanah.
I tell him, I write on a piece of paper, l'chvoid malus kvoid terascha harama. Afal pisha ata kvar birach Birchas HaTorah. Ana yechavin lahoitzieni b'Birchas HaTorah. Why can't you do that? What if like this? Somebody didn't make Birchas HaTorah and he hears the brachos from the oila and he's mechavein to be yotzei. Rabbi Yosef says you're yotzei, and you don't even have to tell him that he should be mechavein to moitzi you. Eini zachisi lahavin zeh bechlal. The bracha on the Torah is a takana. It's takanas chachamim. He doesn't have in mind to be yotzei them. What?
Same words exactly, why not?
But his kavana is rak to be mekayim takanas chachamim. He has no kavana at all to mekayim Birchas HaTorah. How could he moitzi me?
He's making a bracha on the Torah.
Yeah, but he has to be mechavein to be moitzi me in the d'oraisa.
No, for sure, yeah. You have to have him moitzi you on something.
No, Rabbi Yosef, you don't have to tell him anything. I don't know. I don't understand that. Okay. Ma'atoi, v'prat l'fi ma'ashamat, sasi acher kach b'sefer Maimer Mordechai, shehevi b'shem halavush v'alasamad gam kein dehu midrabanan. Especially, I found many shitos that also concur with Shari Tshuva that Birchas HaTorah is only Draban. Bevadei tzarich lizar charchila lasos gain. Uve Birchas HaTorah b'tzibor lekulei alma drabana. Birchas HaTorah on the Torah is drabana according to everyone. Mishum kvoid hatzibor. Sharei kvar birach b'shachris. You already made Birchas HaTorah in the morning. Okay, one more. Birchas HaTorah tzarich lizoher b'ma'od. You have to be very careful on that. By the way, what does a mechaber mean? You should be very careful to do. Be very careful to do what? To say it? What should you be very careful about? The Mishna Berura explains, Shaloi lilmoid ad sheyavarech. You should be very careful not to learn until you make a bracha. V'yivarech oisa b'simcha gedola. You should make it with great joy. D'matzinu she'amr Chazal. Al ma'avda ha'aretz. Why was Eretz Yisrael destroyed? Vayomer Hashem ala zvamas tayrasi. Brahma Chazal shedavar zeh nishal l'neviim. Al ma'avda ha'aretz. Why was Eretz Yisrael destroyed? Yisrael hayo oiskem ha'Torah. Umatzinu shekol zman shayo oiskem ha'Torah. We find so long as they're engaged in learning, Viter HaKadosh Baruch Hu avaneseim. V'lachein lo yadu ma'avda. They didn't know why Eretz Yisrael was destroyed by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Haboichein levavos. God, who probes the hearts, Yada he knew. Ki afal pisha oiskem ha'Torah, lo hayu oiskem l'shem limud ha'Torah, ela k'may shalom dim shar chachmais. That those who were learning were not learning like they were engaged in Torah, but like they were learning other disciplines. V'lachein lo berchu birchas haTorah. Therefore, they did not make Birchas HaTorah. Shaloi hoisa haTorah chashuva b'einayim. The Torah was not important in their eyes. V'lachein lo hegina. Therefore, the Torah did not protect them. By the way, the Levusha understands that when it says lo berchu b'Torah, it means that they didn't realize Birchas HaTorah has a din of Birchas Hanehenen. V'lachein sarch lizar ma'od. You have to be very careful. V'litein hoida. And to give gratitude al shabach harbanu, that he chose us, v'nasal lanu klei chemdas, and he gave us his vessel of desire. Gam amru Chazal, she'eno izoicha chas v'sham liyos loy ben talmid chacham avrazeh she'eno nizah Birchas HaTorah. That one does not merit to have a son who's a Talmid Chacham. One is not careful in Birchas HaTorah. So I want to tell you a good story. There is a Gevaldige Kasha, the Magen Gibarim. The Magen Gibarim wants to know, what do you mean they didn't make Birchas HaTorah? But they said, I have a Rabbah. We just said that if you say Ava Rabbah, you can be Mechavin to be Yoytze Birchas HaTorah. So what they didn't say Birchas HaTorah? But they said Ava Rabbah. This is the Kasha of the Magen Gibarim. Okay. Now, I said over this question of the Magen Gibarim, Erev Shabbos Parshas Chazoin. Fine. A few days earlier, I was in Ukraine. And I was looking for the kever of the Taz, the Sma, the Shas HaTshuva, the Shoel HaMeshiv, the Yeshuas Yaakov. Right before we got to the airport, we found it. It was there was a plaque behind the hospital. The last name on the plaque was Reb Mordechai Zev Atinga. I said, well, Reb Mordechai Zev Atinga, I didn't know anything about him. Who is he? What is he? Went to his kever. Come back. The next shiur, I'm looking for a shiur. I said over the Magen Gibarim's kasha. Then after the shiur, Magen Gibarim, the Mishna Berura quotes the Magen Gibarim like on every page. Who's the Magen Gibarim? Sure enough, Reb Mordechai Zev Atinga. We had just been at his kever, literally right before, and then the next shiur was the kasha of Reb Mordechai Zev Atinga. So that's his kasha on this chazal quoted by the Mishna Berura. What do you mean the shaloi? They didn't say Birchas HaTorah, but they said Ava Rabbah, and the answer is as follows: that there's something missing in Ava Rabbah that we have in Birchas HaTorah proper, namely V'niya Anachnu V'Tzatza'inu. And therefore Chazal say that if somebody is not Zohar in Birchas HaTorah, it affects the Torah of one's descendants. Okay, we'll pick it up tomorrow in Sif Beis. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a great day.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.